In this lecture, we're going to be talking about the 4 stages of learning. I'm going to show you how learning gets easier when you know these steps. Mind maps are eventually used to be able to learn information, dissect information, and cut it into bits and pieces so you can learn it better and analyze it better and work on it more effectively. So the 4 stages of learning are: first, unconscious incompetence. You don't know that you don't know. Second is conscious incompetence. You know that you don't know. Conscious competence, you know and you are. Unconscious competence, you don't know that you know. And I'm pretty sure these titles are a bit complex and complicated and probably don't make any sense, but I'm here to explain them. Unconscious incompetence. When you have a certain thing that you want to do, you want to lose weight. The idea of losing weight for you is eating less and going and doing cardio, running for a long time. But you don't even know that it's not about eating less. It's about eating a lot of protein, tracking your macros. You don't even know that it's not just about cardio, but there is weightlifting that is involved and that can burn a lot of calories. So at this point, you don't even know that you don't know these things because you did not even think about these things. You did not link them in any way to your diet, and maybe you've never heard of them. So at this point, you don't know these concepts, and you don't even know that these concepts that are essential for you to be able to learn or achieve whatever you want to achieve, you don't know that you don't know them. And that's the first step of learning. When you have this unconscious incompetence where you don't know that you don't know. And here comes step number 2, conscious incompetence. You know that you don't know. So you go to the gym and you talk to a personal trainer and he tells you about that you need to do weightlifting and you need to track your macro. And now you're at a point where you know that you're incompetent. You know that there are a lot of things related to the diet that you don't know. We're going to talk more about the diet example later. But moving to number 3, conscious competence. You know and you are. So at this point right here, you know that, okay, there are a lot of things that I don't know and I want to follow through. I want to get to my goal. I want to learn how to lose weight. And you're going to start learning. So number 3 is the process where you start to learn. You are consciously learning and building your knowledge. And that brings us to number 4. When you learn so much that it becomes unconscious competence, it is natural. You don't know that you know. You know all the ins and outs without you even knowing that you know them because they became so natural. Unconscious incompetence, when we talked about the diet example, you know that you want to go through a diet, but you don't know what you have to do. You know what you heard, maybe eat less and do cardio, as we said. You don't even know that tracking macros instead of eating less is more effective. You don't know that other exercises can burn fat much faster than cardio. This is the stage where you are not aware of what you don't know, right? And then, of course, we talked about this also before. You went to see a personal trainer and that's what he told you. Now you know that tracking macros and weighting lift are essential, which you didn't know before. So you know what you have to do, but you don't know how to do it yet, right? And this is where you start to learn. This is where you start building your conscious competence. You start working on these things. You are consciously building your competence, which will eventually lead to the unconscious competence. You've built the competence too much that it becomes natural for you. You can go to the gym and work out without having a workout plan. You can eat well and track your macros without writing down everything on a piece of paper. If somebody's been working out for a while and they skip the gym for a week, and they're not even following a fitness plan, they can just go to the gym and figure out what they need to do for their legs to do an awesome workout. They know what they have to do for biceps, what they have to do for triceps, what they have to do to gain weight, what they have to eat to lose weight, right? It becomes natural. So this is the part where they don't even know that they know all of these things because it's natural, right? So each and every person goes through these 4 learning stages. Whenever you want to learn anything in your life, you are going to go through these 4 learning stages. Whether it's, as I gave the diet example, whether it's, I'll give another example, you are studying for your finance exam, and you know that there are some things that you need to learn. You need to learn how to calculate assets and calculate liabilities and all of these things. And then you're talking to your friend, and then he tells you that you also need to learn how to do the shareholders' equity analysis, and that you did not even know that this is something that you need, and you not even know that it's part of the course. You'd never heard of it, so you didn't even know that you don't know about this. That was stage number one. You're in unconscious incompetence. And now that you know that, okay, well, I need to learn how to do the shareholders equity analysis, you get to conscious incompetence. You get to a point where you sit down, you figure out all the different parts. Okay, I need to write about, let's say, retained earnings and revenues and common shares. Now you know what it's about, but you need to keep learning, and that gets you to conscious competence. You know the principles, and in conscious competence, you're starting to learn about them. You learn what are retained earnings, how to calculate them, what are common shares, how to calculate them. And once you do, you go all the way up forward to the unconscious competence section, where you don't even know that you know these things, and you go to the exam and you feel so natural and you feel that it's so easy. Why do some people leave the exam room and they feel like, oh my god, like this has been the easiest thing I've ever done? And other people, they go out of the exam and they said, wow, that was really difficult, is because the people who did well, they went through all the different learning stages effectively until they got to the unconscious competence. However, the other people who did not do as good, they stumbled upon, of course, they went through the learning stages, but they stopped at one of these learning stages. Maybe they got to conscious competence, which they know what they have to do, and they're still working on them, but they did not get to the part where they have unconscious competence. Some people, maybe they were stuck at unconscious incompetence. Maybe you never talked to your friend and you never knew that there are some things that you don't know. A lot of times it happens. You go to an exam and you see some information that you don't know, and you're like, well, I did not know we had this, right? And this is you failing at the 4 stages of learning, failing at the first step, or even failing at the second step, conscious incompetence. You know that you don't know. You might fall there, you might fall at the 3rd stage, or you might even get to the 4th stage, but don't master it effectively, or not really attain this natural stage, and also it will cause you some problems eventually. But these 4 learning stages are also linked to mind mapping, and that's how it works. So first, when you have a certain idea, which we said, your diet, for example, this is the main idea. You're starting with the unconscious incompetence. You have the idea, but you don't know what you really don't know about this. Okay, these are the branches. So once you get to the conscious incompetence, you'll be able to build the branches, which are the things that are complementary, the things that are essential for you to be able to attain this goal, which is your diet. Right? So you learn these things, and at first you didn't know them. You went from unconscious incompetence to conscious incompetence, that you don't know these things. And now you figured out that you need to do certain things in order for you to achieve each and every dot, each and every circle, each or every branch in the conscious incompetence section. So you got to the conscious competence section, and you're starting to work on each and every one of these in order for you to eventually finish the goals that you had in the conscious incompetence, the 3 goals, for you to eventually achieve whatever goal you had. But that would eventually move you all the way to the unconscious incompetence, where you are so natural at whatever you want to do. When you're so natural at diet, you know how it works. You don't even have to follow a plan and track your macros. It just becomes natural. You know what to eat, you know what to do. It's natural. You don't have to think about it. And this is exactly you mind planning it. When you go through the 4 learning stages, you are not aware of it, but in some way or another, you are going through mind planning. You are starting with the principle. There are certain ideas that are branching out. There are sub-branches that would help you figure out each and every one of these ideas. And once you figure out each and every one of these ideas, you become so natural at it that you conquer the main idea, the main goal, which is your diet. So whenever you want to learn something, try to remember the 4 stages of learning. Ask yourself, when you're first learning something, ask yourself, is there something that I don't know, that I don't even know that I don't know? You need to ask yourself this question, and of course it's possible. That's why you need to do your research properly to make sure that, for example, you know what you have to do. You know the things that you have to do for you to be able to have a good diet, which gets you to step number 2. Or you need to know everything that you have to study for the exam, which also gets you to number 2. Then you get to number 2, you need to also make sure in the learning process that you know what you have to do to achieve these things that you didn't know in order for you to be able to overcome them. And then once you do, you start working on them, you start building your conscious competence, and you're starting to learn more and more and more until you master them and you become so natural and you get to the unconscious competence. Make sure that you go through these steps in each and everything that you're learning eventually. And even when you're doing mind mapping, when you first put an idea, you need to make sure that whatever you're trying to develop, there aren't things that you don't know that are eventually going to be an obstacle. If there might be, what can they be? Do a bit of research. If you don't find anything, it's fine. Carry on with the plan. And if anything ever comes up afterwards, you'll be able to note it out in the mind map. Now, of course, you guys don't really understand mind maps properly yet. That's exactly why there's going to be an entire section that talks about how to build mind maps and go through the process of it. But for now, just keep in mind that these four stages of learning are essential, not just for learning, but also for mind mapping. So keep them in mind.